Alright, home stretch to lesson 25. So this is lesson 25, day 4. On your MIB on page 292 to 293. Okay, we are going to talk about weights and mass in today's problems. So Kyle has a jar filled with steak quarters. He knows that when the jar is empty, it has a mass of 900 grams, but when it's filled with quarters, its mass is 2 kilograms. If each quarter has the mass of about 5 grams, how many quarters are in the jar? So, here's our picture. We have a quarter, empty jar, jar filled with quarters. So to model it, the total for our bar model, the mass is 5 times n, because 1 equals 5. So n is the number of quarters. So 5 times the number of quarters plus the 900 grams equals 2 kilograms. Okay, and we're trying to find out the total number of quarters. So remember that all units need to be in the same, like we've been doing the last 2 weeks. So the mass of the empty jar is blank grams. Go ahead and fill that in. 900 grams. Total mass of the jar filled is how many kilograms? 2 kilograms, or there are 1,000 kilograms, or 1,000 grams in 1 kilogram. So it'd be 2,000 total grams you should put in that blank there. Now write an equation to show the mass of the jar with the quarters alone plus the mass of the empty jar equals the mass of the filled jar. Kind of did it for you on the previous page on the bottom with the bar model, but what you should write down. So we have quarters. Get this. So we have quarter plus 900 equals 2,000. Okay, that is your equation to solve for Q, quarters. So the weight of the quarters plus 900 equals 2,000. So what's the mass of the quarters by themselves? You need to subtract 900 from 2,000. Here this is very primitive pre-algebra, but you want to get the Q alone by itself. So you would subtract both sides by 900, cancels it out. Okay, and 2,000 minus 900 equals 1,100 equals Q. So the total weights of the quarters are 1,100 grams. Okay, so 16 would be 1,100 grams. Now write an equation to show that the number of quarter times 5 grams equals the total mass of the quarters. So I'll go ahead and erase this one. Equal number of quarters, so I'm going to use an n, times 5 equals 1,100 grams. Okay, so you need to divide both sides by 5. So you would take 1,100 divided by 5. Okay, again, if I'm going too fast, pause me, catch me up, rewind me as many times as you need to. 5 will not go into 1. It will go into 11 2 times. So put that 2 over the second one. So 2 times 5 is 10. Subtract. 11 minus 10 is 1. Bring down that 0, I get 10. 5 will go into 10 2 times. The 2 above that first 0 there. 2 times 5 is 10. 0. Bring down 0. 5 will not go into 0. So you get 220 grams when you solve it. Okay, so 220 grams, not grams, 220 quarters. There are 220 quarters in the jar. For write an equation, we just did that, so describe the 3 steps. You first converted everything into grams, then you figured out how much the total amount of quarters weighed, then you divided that by 5 because 1 quarter equals 5 grams, and figure out how many times 5 will go into the 1,100. Go ahead and pause me here, and do the try it, then rejoin me, and we will go over how to do it. Right, number 19. The recipe for a large batch of cookies is 1 kilogram of flour. Another recipe uses 700 grams of flour. How much flour is needed to make 2 batches for the recipe? Remember, we need it all in the same unit. So our units, we're going to use grams. If you recall, there are 1,000 grams and 1 kilogram. So a large batch uses 1,000 grams of flour. Another uses 700 grams. So how much is needed? You would take your 1,000, because you converted the 1 kilogram to 1,000 grams. Then you would add 700. And 1,000 plus 700 is 1,700 grams of flour. But we need to make 2 batches, so that's 1 batch is 1,700. Then we need to multiply 1,700 by 2. 2 times 0 is 0. 2 times 0 is 0. 2 times 7, 14. Put down the 4, carry the 1. 2 times 2 is 2, plus 1, 3. So you would need 3,400 grams in order to make 2 batches. Okay, so that's 19. Now number 20. A can of nuts weigh about a pound, 1 ounce. An empty can weighs 3 ounces. If you pour out half the nuts into the bowl, how many ounces of nuts are in the bowl? So we have to convert everything to ounces. So a can is 1 pound, 1 ounce. There are 16 ounces in 1 pound, so you would add 16 plus 1, so the total equals 17 ounces. The empty can is 3 ounces, so we need to subtract 17 minus 3 equals 14 ounces of nuts. He pours half of the nuts into the bowl. So half of 14, 14 divided by 2, 7 ounces of nuts. Okay? Alright, so that's number 20. Again, rewind me if I went a little too quick. So this was your MIB, page 292 to 293. Corresponds with your math practice and problem solving 301, 302.